Before he became a Yellow Lantern, Arkillo was one of many from his home planet that worshipped a primitive, dualistic god that represented both order and chaos. While he felt that his people and their religion had come to respect the order this god exalted, he felt they had neglected the other side of this god, the savagery within. Arkillo believed that the universe required a balance to it, a balance that his people and their religion had allowed to drift too far into the direction of order. He would change that. Before his first yellow ring had found him, Arkillo already had been feared by many beings. It all began when he struck out at the priests of his home world, and then, over time, pretty much any being he would encounter. It seems fitting that, in his life as a Yellow Lantern, Arkillo's entire being began to revolve around the struggle with this balance between order and justice versus savagery and chaos. Hey guys, thanks for watching part 2 of my origins and bio for Arkillo. Before we get started with the rest of his history as a character, I do want to go into a little bit about why I picked him as my favorite amongst the Yellow Lanterns. After all, I had a lot of really cool choices ranging from cool characters who have briefly been Yellow Lanterns, such as Cyborg Superman, Batman, and Scarecrow, to mainstays such as Sinestro or Sorinic, all of whom are very cool characters. But I went with Arkillo because he's kind of a bit of a diamond in the rough. He's definitely underrated, and I think a lot of people overlook him as a character, but thanks to 3 key series, namely New Guardians, Sinestro, the solo series, and Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, Arkillo's developed into a well-fleshed out character, initially one who started out as a savage beast, like he came to represent in the little story I told at the beginning of this video. That sort of savage animal that basically Arkillo was when the first yellow ring found him. But over time, thanks to his interaction with the New Guardians, specifically Saint Walker, as well as Sorinic, and later on in Guy Gardner, Arkillo learned to find value in order and justice, the other side of this dualistic god. He never quite abandoned the savagery in his fighting and how he goes about people and how he serves Sinestro time and time again, but there's something about the way he acts and functions that also has a certain order to it. He's a very loyal character once he bonds with people. That is most shown in Sinestro, who, whenever Sinestro returns, Arkillo will ultimately come around to follow when given the opportunity, in spite of a lot of grief between the two at this point. Once the Green Lanterns basically vanished and the Yellows took their place, however aggressively Sinestro did so and however terribly he behaved, Arkillo and the others found a purpose in all of this that was remarkable to watch. And then the Hal Jordan and Green Lantern Corps story really works. Robert Venditti again really showed he had a strong understanding of Arkillo. And basically this character has just drifted from one great writer to the next. I definitely recommend a lot of those series I mentioned. If I had a favorite, it has to be the storylines that we'll be talking about right now in this video. The second half of the Sinestro solo series, although really you should just read the whole thing, as well as Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns of the Rebirth era, both of which were great and really bring Arkillo's character out in a fun way. Finally, before we get into this whole bio thing, I do ask that if you like this video, you should subscribe to our channel. Subscribing is how you can get all our cool videos, including origins and bios for all of my favorite Lantern characters. Also, if you want to support us making other cool videos and projects, be sure to check out our Patreon page in the video description below. Thanks again for checking this out, and enjoy the rest of the video. Arkillo was one of 6 Yellow Lanterns that Sinestro considered part of his inner circle, his best and most loyal among his followers. Though Sinestro was well aware he couldn't quite fully trust any of them, Arkillo included. A Yellow Lantern was found murdered on New Corrigar, and Sinestro knew one of his closest followers was behind it, and that same follower was planning to destroy the entire planet. It was around this time that the Green Lanterns vanished without a trace from the universe. Sinestro saved his daughter from the same fate by recruiting her forcibly as the Yellow Lantern. Sinestro explained to Sorenik that he saw this as an opportunity to take over as the peacekeepers of the known universe, while he was forced to release Parallax and bind it to New Korugar to save it from being destroyed by the traitor, who Sinestro had known to be Lysa for some time. His untrustworthy follower was simply attempting to remove anything that might distract Sinestro in the future, but the leader of the Yellow Lanterns was furious nonetheless, forced to execute other followers just so somebody could be publicly blamed for the murder and sabotage. Sinestro was unable to do the same to the actual guilty person, Lysa, because he viewed her as a valuable asset he wasn't willing to give up. He couldn't help but admire her dedication and figured he would need her in the coming days to meet these challenges she had predicted, and chose to hide her duplicity. The others, Arkillo included, were each assigned a sector of space and ordered to police it, just as the Green Lanterns once did. Sinestro had the City of Ranks bound to Warworld and kept it in orbit around New Korugar, vastly increasing the resources and abilities of his corps. From here, Sinestro personally looked over his new army of galactic police. Under his orders, manhunters were rebuilt, reprogrammed specifically to be obedient, and equipped with yellow power batteries. Though, unlike the Guardians of the Universe, Sinestro was under no illusion that these androids would be able to replace his lanterns. Sorenik, who began serving as the new main medical officer of the Sinestro Corps, came to suspect that her father had bigger plans and designs than his purported goal of simply replacing the Green Lanterns. Sinestro then hired Lobo to hunt down the leader of the Yellow Lanterns themselves, in an effort to see the bounty hunter's abilities firsthand. Impressed with Lobo's skills, Sinestro hired him on to hunt down the other lanterns from the rest of the emotional spectrum, and repeatedly tried to recruit the bounty hunter into becoming a Yellow Lantern himself, much to Lobo's annoyance. The bounty hunter eventually captured Saint Walker, and Sinestro chose to save the planet that the Blue Lantern was trying to bring relief to when he was discovered. Sinestro also happily kept the Blue Lantern as a prisoner, even torturing him in an effort to force the Blue Lantern rings to power up the yellow rings the same way it used to with the Green Lantern rings. Arkillo was aware of what happened to Saint Walker, but didn't voice his objections at the time, nor did it even seem to bother him. It was then that Sinestro finally came in direct conflict with a sinister cult known as the Paling. This cult had one goal: to eliminate all emotion in sentient life across the universe. And is actually why Lysa sought out Sinestro to return to his core in the first place, as she knew these beings would emerge after the disappearance of the Green Lanterns. The Paling made themselves known by resurrecting their leader, a mysterious bishop, and attacking Earth. Sinestro, Arkillo, and the rest of the Yellow Lanterns traveled there on Warworld to work with the various superpowered beings from that planet to defeat this cult and save the Earth. Wonder Woman attacked Ranks and managed to capture Arkillo in response to their arrival, but Sinestro was able to talk her down with Black Adam once they explained what was happening. Arkillo was then tasked with fighting at Wonder Woman's side with a group of Yellow Lanterns in the defense of Earth, while Sinestro, Black Adam, and the others defended Ranks. Arkillo and the others were successful in beating the Paling back after Sinestro drafted a number of Earthlings into the Yellow Lantern Corps, including Wonder Woman and a then depowered Kal-El. Sinestro was also revealed to be successful in making Saint Walker function as a source of power for the Yellow Lanterns, further bolstering their forces against the Paling. Arkillo noted at one point a civilian referred to him as a superhero during this massive invasion, and the alien didn't quite know what to make of it at the time. As the battle wore on, though, he seemed to embrace this, voluntarily staying behind to protect the Earthlings when the others went to destroy the invading Paling spaceships. Sinestro then called out to his followers, asking for their aid and power so that he might strike down the leader of the Paling, a rogue guardian, who had left their ranks and sought to purge himself of all emotion. Arkillo and all the others gladly shared their power for this victory, reciting the oath of the Yellow Lanterns. The entire Paling cult was struck down in a single blow, but it came at a terrible cost. It took so much out of Sinestro he was left horribly and perhaps permanently aged and weakened. Though he was victorious and saved Earth as well as the entire universe from being taken over by the Paling. Arkillo, still reeling from the way the people of Earth were now treating him like a hero, instantly recognized a new voice take command of the Sinestro Corps over the comm system in the rings. Soranik was named the leader of the Lantern Corps by her father, and announced to a cheering crowd of humans that her corps would still look over the Earth and keep the planet safe from then on. Sinestro insisted to her followers that they support his daughter in her new leadership while he recovered, if he ever even truly could. On their way home, Kal-El admitted to Sinestro that he was impressed with the Yellow Lanterns and their heroism, while Arkillo, without being prompted or asked, began helping these people rebuild their home. It was there that the Yellow Lantern properly reunited with St. Walker. Arkillo admitted that he knew what happened to his old friend earlier, and he didn't know how he could help the Blue Lantern, apologizing for this and wishing his fellow New Guardian hadn't been tortured. St. Walker was quick to forgive his old friend, saying that he learned a lot about the power of fear and its relationship to hope thanks to this attack. Soranik then took the new Yellow Lanterns back from the Earthlings who had been deputized, while she was deeply moved to learn that the humans didn't want the Yellow Lanterns to leave after witnessing their heroism in person. She openly wondered if the Yellow Lanterns had ever been so welcome on any planet. Because of this, she decided to name a Yellow Lantern who would be specifically tasked with looking over Earth. She asked Arkillo to become the Yellow Lantern of Sector 2814, much to the alien's shock. But St. Walker encouraged his old friend to take the position, asking that he be allowed to stay behind and help out as Arkillo's new partner. For a time, Arkillo and St. Walker proved a formidable team, protecting the planet and working together like any other superhero on Earth would. But it all changed with the eventual return of the Green Lanterns. While Hal Jordan managed to engineer their return, taking control of the Corps at Jon Stewart's side, and re-establishing them on the planet Mogo, Sinestro had absorbed Parallax back into himself, and recalled the Yellow Lanterns back to New Korrigar. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sinestro ordered his Corps to achieve order throughout the universe through fear and violent control. Using the goodwill Soranik had built up across the universe with her leadership, Sinestro became eager to enforce his will on the countless civilizations that would welcome them as saviors. Arkillo was one of the many Yellow Lanterns who eagerly cheered on Sinestro's return, with only Soranik and a handful of others worried about this new direction, figuring that the Sinestro Corps were following back on their old habits. Inevitably, the Yellow Lanterns found themselves in conflict with the returned Greens, and Arkillo was one of many who faced off against Hal Jordan on Warworld, though none of them were a match for the powerful Green Lantern. Sinestro arrived and ordered Arkillo and the others to leave Warworld and let him fight Hal Jordan alone, though Sinestro had to violently grab Arkillo and dress him down in order to get the alien to follow his orders. The two old enemies faced one another, and eventually it appeared as though Hal finally managed to destroy Sinestro. Soranik managed to take back control of the Yellow Lanterns, while Arkillo and those closest to Sinestro fled and went into hiding. Soranik led the remaining Yellow Lanterns into permanently partnering with the Green Lanterns, working with them on Mogo to bring in the fugitive Yellow Lanterns who were not following her. Arkillo remained hidden on a lawless planet called Heap for some time, until he was personally sought out by the Green Lantern named Guy Gardner. Gardner believed there was a certain understanding between him and Arkillo, and that they had more in common with each other than Arkillo did with Kilowog. Guy, like Arkillo, is loyal, willing to take any hits for those they serve. To prove that point, Gardner challenged Arkillo to a one-on-one fight, without the use of their respective power rings. Arkillo agreed to this challenge, and the two got in a fight so violent and aggressive that both had to be rescued by Jon Stewart and Soranik. They were brought back to Mogo to be healed, and Arkillo agreed to work with the Green and Yellow Lanterns in bringing in the fugitives as Guy Gardner's new partner. Guy was right, and the two quickly became friends with one another as they worked together to make their sector of space a better place for those living there. The two were quick to leave recovery in spite of Soranik's medical directives, when the Green Lanterns came in conflict with a time-traveling enemy named Sarko. Guy and Arkillo fought side by side to defeat Sarko's forces with the rest of the Lanterns, even when they had to give up their power rings to fight against these forces, which were made of the raw energy of willpower. Later, the two were of many Lanterns dispatched to stop a daring bank robbery. And looking at them, Hal Jordan couldn't help but remark at how great the team of Yellow and Green Lanterns collectively had become. However, upon being taken into custody, one of the bank robbers revealed a disturbing piece of information. A Green Lantern had murdered a member of the Sinestro Corps. John Stewart ordered Guy and Arkillo to investigate this claim. The two did, with their usual gusto, and were able to discover evidence that the Green Lantern, Tomar II, did in fact murder the Yellow Lantern, Romach Rue, rather than take him into custody. The news, coupled with Soranik having personal issues with Kyle Rayner, caused her to declare the alliance between Green and Yellow Lanterns over. Arkillo, who had by then come to deeply respect Soranik, took her side in the resulting conflict, even when a number of Yellow Lanterns refused to abandon the truce. In spite of this, when Gardner and Arkillo encountered each other in the battlefield, due to the newfound respect and friendship between each other, neither was willing to strike first, and they never actually came to blows. The Green Lanterns then revealed that they had built a flaw into the new Yellow Lantern power battery that allowed them to disable the Yellow Lantern rings on the spot. This was the final straw that broke whatever alliance existed between these two Lantern Corps. So Soranik, Arkillo, and the others fled, while those that refused to leave with her were made Green Lanterns. Arkillo and the others were not seen for some time after this, until a fearsome old enemy of the Green Lanterns called the Dark Stars began to re-emerge. In response to this new danger, the Green Lanterns were forced to seek out allies amongst their friends and foes. To that end, Guy Gardner and Arkillo agreed to meet up on the planet Heap. And the Yellow Lantern agreed to work with his old partner in stopping this Dark Star threat. However, Arkillo was quick to point out that he was only involving himself because of his friendship with Gardner, and that the other Yellow Lanterns wouldn't be so cooperative or willing to forgive. Gardner understood this and believed that the two of them could set an example for the others and hopefully serve as a model for reconciliation between the two corps, something that Arkillo was eager to agree to. It was then on Heap that the two were attacked by the Dark Stars, and Arkillo was alarmed to see his partner forcibly recruited into their ranks. Under the influence of this new power, Gardner traveled to Earth to kill his father. Knowing that Guy wouldn't do this on his own free will, Arkillo followed Gardner and stopped him from killing the man. In an effort to protect Gardner's father and to reach out to Guy, Arkillo took off his ring and let himself be pummeled by the new Dark Star. This worked in reaching out to Guy, and he was able to expel the Dark Star armor after Arkillo affirmed that the two of them were friends. Gardner taught the Yellow Lantern that he genuinely deserved a chance at redemption. Gardner returned to normal, and the two set out to join the Green Lanterns and their allies in facing off against the Dark Stars. Once again, Arkillo and Gardner fought side by side in fighting the countless Dark Stars, until the power of this villainous organization was disrupted by Hal Jordan and the powerful human telepath named Hector Hammond. Following the defeat of the Dark Stars and the beings that powered them, called the Controllers, Arkillo returned home. The Yellow Lanterns haven't been heard from since.